million idea is just an idea until you put it into action. Over the next half hour, meet some Australian entrepreneurs doing just that.
I find the normal job boring, whereas in business you could go bankrupt or you could make millions. To me that's exciting.
Still to come.
How could I match the prices of these big boys like Harvey Norman and Dick Smith? I started my first website called ApeMusic when I was in high school in year 10 in 1999, and it made money off the banners, the advertising and the pop-ups. So I remember my mum wanted me to work at the local fast food store, which was paying $4.85 an hour. And here I was, I'd get all these checks in the post from all the banners and pop-ups from the USA, and I thought it was just amazing. You know, I'd be at school, I'd have exams, I'd be asleep, and the website would continue to work, and all these checks in the USA would continue to arrive in the post. People were just paying huge amounts of money for banners, and after the tech bubble burst, that site sort of subsided. We started from zero capital, really, because I was just full-time student at uni. I sold one phone, that was how I started off. Basically somebody swiped my phone on the way home from uni on the train, and I ended up going to Strathfield Car Radios, and I saw a phone which was really cheap, and I saw it selling on eBay, and I thought, hang on, I could buy a couple extra of these and sell. So basically I just sold one extra phone, and I just used the cash from that and then bought 2 iPods and sold those. And then I just kept going round and round, and eventually I built up a few $1,000s to open a wholesale account. When I first started out with close to zero capital, it was really hard because I'd have to actually wait for the same money the customers paid me to go around the whole circle. I'd have to use that money, withdraw that from the credit card to the bank account and send that to the suppliers, and actually have to wait for that small amount of money to go around the whole circle. Once a customer places an order online, we usually ship the goods within about 24 hours. It's usually about 2 to 3 days Australia-wide. Courier will turn up at your door with your brand new phone. All the products are brand new in the box with everything you'd get just like any retail store. But what you don't get is all those physical costs. So all your retail store premises, the rent, the sales staff, demo stock, cash registers, security. We just focus on products where we're at a comparative advantage. One of the real problems I had at the start was how could I match the prices of these big boys like Harvey Norman and Dick Smith and David Jones that are buying such bulk stock. And I thought of a strategy: if we buy products that fall very sharply in price, then we actually get a better price if we order them every week from the distributor rather than buying a whole stack up front to fill all our stores. This is our company mascot, it's an ape. So this is my boss. Looks just like everyone else's boss, really. But I chose the name ApeShop because A is at the top alphabetically, so it comes at the top of listings. And also, people trust animals. I mean, just think of all the Optus commercials. And trust is really important online. People are really sceptical with their credit card details and security. I've always been fascinated by the thrill of business from a really young age, and I actually started my first business called David's Bookshop at age 4. And we put this massive poster in the window and all down the telegraph poles on the street. And I used to sell these books that I would write and illustrate to the neighbours and family and friends. And I remember canvassers and door knockers would come to the house, and I'd end up opening the door and I'd say, oh, check out my books, they're 100% original, nothing else like it in the world, hand illustrated, and I'd end up selling them a book. My dad was pretty sceptical at first. I remember I would stir him up a lot as a teenager. He's a really kind of old school and thinks you have to work 9 to 5 and put in a hard day's work. So when I was a teenager, I would stir him up and say, oh, I'm gonna have clients in the United States and get checks in the post, and he was like, this is ridiculous. Some people at first were a bit sceptical that you could make money and make a business without actually going and sitting in an office between certain hours, that you could use a laptop and make money on the other side of the world. I have lots of really good people in my family to help me out. I have Uncle Ram, who's really into business. I have Keto Master Fari, who's really into business, and lots of my friends help me out here and there, so it's really good to have people to rely on and count on.
I've known young David now for I think just over 10 years, and he started with me probably when he was way shorter than me, and now he's way taller than me. David, from day one, he had that personality that he needed something to sink his teeth into. He's been able to apply that obviously in school. He actually achieved top of the state. carried that on to university, and now he's carrying all that on, all those skills into business life, which is wonderful.
When I first started, the actual domain name ApeShop.com was actually already taken by a New York company called Advanced Power Equipment, Ape. So I wrote a letter to the owner, Gary, and I said, "G'day from Sydney, Australia." I explained I'm a young student with this university assignment that I wanted to bring into real life. And the owner, Gary, real champion, he replies, "Send me one authentic operational boomerang and I will transfer the domain to you." So I went down to Pitt Street after class and airmailed one off to the USA. I think it's more valuable to start from nothing because it really forced me to basically do everything the cheapest way possible. Like when I first started out my first website in high school, I was 15 years old, didn't have a credit card, couldn't make calls to the USA, so I actually made reverse charge calls to the host in the USA, and they agreed to give me my domain and my hosting without a credit card if I put their button on my website. And even with software, I've used all open source applications, so I think it's been an advantage because it's really forced me. I've had no other choice but to try and do everything the most efficient and the cheapest way possible. Well, the good thing about the internet is it hasn't been around for hundreds of years. I feel like I've been involved since the beginning. It's something new, and I think it's new for everyone. So I might be new at it, and I might be new at the internet, but so is everyone else. If I didn't like what I was doing, then I wouldn't have got this far. So that's basically one of the reasons I did this as opposed to applying for another job. At the end of the day, when I woke up in the morning, I was really excited and wanted to do this. Personally, I find a normal job where you get paid a certain salary and do the same thing every day quite boring. Whereas in business, you could go bankrupt or you could make millions. So anything's possible. So to me, that's exciting. To other people, they find it a bit risky, but I think that's exciting. One of the real problems I had at the start was how could I match the prices of these big boys like Harvey Norman and Dick Smith and David Jones that are buying such bulk stock.
One of the major challenges to a business is that they're not different from any other business. So they sell the same stuff at the same price in the same way through the same distribution channels. In many respects, they don't deserve to make a lot of money to be a successful business.
I thought of a strategy. If we buy products that fall very sharply in price, then we actually get a better price if we order them every week from the distributor rather than buying a whole stack up front.
The first challenge is to look at your business and say, how can I make it extraordinary? How can I either sell an extraordinary product, do it in an extraordinary way, distribute it in an extraordinary manner, or serve people in an extraordinarily superb way, for instance. The second challenge is, how do I build a structure that allows me to grow?
My dad was pretty sceptical at first. I remember I would stir him up a lot as a teenager. He's a really kind of old school and thinks you have to work 9 to 5 and put in a hard day's work. So when I was a teenager, I would stir him up and say, "Oh, I'm gonna have clients in the United States and get checks in the post," and he was like, "This is ridiculous."
Could I run this business from anywhere? Pretty much anywhere in the world. You can, so within the bounds of the time frames. But I think that's the key thing. When you find the ways that, for example, mobility creates time for you. So if I look at small businesses, the one thing that people always tell us from small businesses is that we're time poor. We're time poor because we're domain experts. We're experts at running this business or doing this, or we understand that, but we're actually time poor in our overall ability to handle our lifestyle, balance that with the demands of the business, our stakeholders, our customers, our people. So if technology and mobility can help that for good, then it works really, really well. And it does have the ability to create time and space.
Here I was, I'd get all these checks in the post from all the banners and pop-ups from the USA. I'd be at school, I'd have exams, I'd be asleep, and the website would continue to work.
Now, if you'd like to access these and more business stories, small business information and articles, please visit businesssense.com.au.